Maggie, and I'm here today with my December TBR. I'm really excited. If you saw my previous Pick My TBR video, I have 5 books that were picked out through either comments on that video or Goodreads. People who follow me or are friends with me on Goodreads. 3 of them came from comments on the video, and then 2 of them came from Goodreads comments, and I'll kind of go over why I picked what from where as I go over each of the books. In addition to this 5-book TBR, that will be my priority TBR for the month. My ultimate goal is to finish all 5 of these books, which I definitely feel like is doable, and they all sound really fun, so I don't think I'll hit too much of a slump with any of them, because I have been like on and off reading slumpy. I think it's mostly just my depression flaring up, but I've been pretty up and down like with my mood for reading, but all of these are ones that I'm pretty interested in or have already started and really need to finish and happen to be suggested, so I'm pretty excited. But like I said, that is my main goal. I do have sub goals. There are 2 readathons that I really want to participate in, and actually a couple of the books that were suggested for my Pick My TBR can fit into the prompts, so I was like, yay! But because I am prioritizing the ones that you guys picked out, I am making a personal stipulation on myself that these 2 readathons overlap like a little bit, but only by like the last 2 days of one is the first 2 days of the other. So that first readathon is SmutAthon, and I am telling myself that I am not allowed to start or participate in SmutAthon, even though I will be doing a TBR in this video for it. That I'm not allowed to do my SmutAthon TBR unless I have finished 2 of the books out of the 5 that you guys picked out for me, and one of them doesn't count towards the 2. That is because that one book is 17 pages, but I have to read one of the non-17 page, 2 of the non-17 page books in order to justify doing SmutAthon, but I do have a TBR prepared ahead of time. The other one is the Yule edition of WitchAthon. I didn't get to participate in the first WitchAthon. I was really disappointed because it had some really cool prompts and it looked really fun. I just had too much other stuff going on. And for WitchAthon, my only stipulation is that I have met the criteria that I set for myself for doing SmutAthon, because 2 of the books that were picked for me actually can fit my WitchAthon prompts, so I'll be reading 2 of the chosen For Me books for WitchAthon anyway. So yeah, they're part of WitchAthon, so I feel like it's not really taking away from this Choose My TBR to be doing WitchAthon. So I'm pretty excited for that. I will do the Choose My TBR books first, and then I will let you know my WitchAthon, even though that readathon does start second, because I want to save my SmutAthon TBR for the end. I know dirty books and erotica and smut and stuff isn't everybody's cup of tea, so I figured I'd save that TBR for the end. That way, if you don't really want to hear me talk about the books that I'm picking for that, you can go ahead and click out and stop watching at that point. But I will link the announcement videos for those readathons below, and I also will try to do some timestamps in the description box as well. So my first book pick was chosen from the Goodreads comment, and the reason I went with this one is it was actually on my nonfiction November TBR, and I didn't get to it, so when it was suggested, I was like, perfect, another opportunity to get to this book. I didn't do super well in nonfiction November. I just, like I said before, was kind of up and down and slumpy with my reads, and every time I sat down to read a nonfiction, I just kind of felt like, I guess apathetic and discouraged, which sucks because I do really like nonfiction. It just wasn't what I was feeling in the month of November. I did end up reading other stuff. My wrap up will probably come up in a couple days after this video comes up, so I'll kind of talk more in depth about it. But I did have an okay reading month in November. I just didn't get to the nonfiction that I wanted. But without further rambling, that book is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doty. I really love her YouTube channel, and I was really excited to get to this book. I just didn't get a chance to do so, and it was picked as one of my choose my TBR type things. So I'm really excited for a second chance to get to this book. It's kind of a memoir, and she kind of is a pioneer of more green death and alternative death practices, and being more comfortable with the concept of death and how we deal with the dead. And so I'm really excited to get to this one. The next book was actually recommended by two people. Both people commented on my Pick My TBR video, and it was two different people, so I was like, I have to pick this. I kind of wanted to anyway, but with it being the only one that had two people do it, tell me I should read it, I was like, yep, it's going on the list. And that book is Once Upon a Curse, 17 Dark Fairy Tales. It has multiple authors because it is a collection of short stories. I really love short stories, which as I've kind of gotten more into BookTube, I've learned that I'm apparently in the minority. Apparently a lot of people don't really like short stories. If you do like short stories, comment down below, because it seems like most people I hear talk about them seem to say that they really don't like them, but I particularly enjoy them. It is a collection of dark twists on fairy tales from what I understand, and so I'm really excited for it. I love fairy tale retellings, I love short stories. Two different people were like, read this book, so it's on the list. One of the two people that recommended the Once Upon a Curse collection recommended my next pick, and that is Taken by T-Rex by Alara Browen and Christy Sims. So this is the 17-page book, and I really like this person's reasoning for why they picked it. They said that they've heard about it a lot, and a lot of people talk about it, but no one really seems to take it, really read it and try to see if it's actually entertaining or good at all. It's just kind of talked about in a very dismissive and just can you believe there was a book talked about or titled this kind of a way. And I can agree with that, and honestly I did purchase it because I thought it was going to be ridiculous and hilarious and just a good old fun time. I'll read you the synopsis really quick for it. Drin is her tribe's chief huntress. She lives for the thrill of the hunt. Men and sex hold no allure for her, as Drin has never found a partner to satisfy her. When a T-Rex descends upon her village, destroying it, Drin demands that the tribe's hunters go in search of the beast and slaughter it. Opting for safety instead of revenge, the tribe moves to a new location, hoping that the big beast won't follow. And then, just below that on Goodreads says dinosaur erotica. So it is only 17 pages, so I'm sure it gets to some weird, dirty stuff real quick. But I mean, it sounds like it could be pretty entertaining. There are some really interesting reviews, and actually just today I came across a video review that involved hand puppets, and it made my fucking day. I shared it on my Twitter, so if you want to go to my Twitter and see the tweet that says, I'm gonna read this today, hashtag puppets make everything better, that's the link to the video. It was fantastic. But I do plan to read this and seriously look at it, see if how the writing style is, how the writing is. I know it's gonna be ridiculous because it's somehow a human woman having sex with a T-Rex, which I don't know if you know how big T-Rexes is, but that, I can only imagine how big their penises are. So I'm sure there are some interesting logistics to that. We'll see. I have been meaning to get to it for a while, so this is the perfect excuse. As I said, because this one is 17 pages, I'm not going to count it as if I read this, it counts for one of my 2 to start SmutAthon. And it actually does not fulfill, it could fulfill one of the prompts for SmutAthon, but I actually found a different book for that prompt that I want to read more, so it's not being read in SmutAthon either, so I will have to read 2 of the other bigger books. The next of my picks is one that I've actually already started, and that is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This is how far into it I am, so I would like to finish it. This was one of the ones that was commented on my little Goodreads post about this. And since it was one that I have already started and want to finish by the end of the year, I started this in October. I want to finish it, need to finish it. It's one of those things where I am really enjoying it. Whenever I want to sit down to read, I, for some reason, forget that I'm reading this because I am a crazy, terrible person and I read tons of books at once. And I ended up picking up other things, and then I'll see it and I'll be like, fuck, I should read this. I need to finish it. I like it. So, yeah, I thank you for picking this for me, and I will finish it because it was one of my things. And the last of my 5 Choose My TBR books is going to be graphic novels. Technically, they only said volume 1, but I have volume 1 through 3. I think, yeah, 3 is back there, but I'm not going to pull it out. This is a sci-fi graphic novel series. It's called Alex and Ada. The synopsis in the back is: the last thing in the world Alex wanted was an X5, the latest in realistic androids, but after Ada is dropped into his life, he discovers she is more than just a robot. Alex and Ada explores what it means to be real in a sci-fi drama set in the near future. So, like I said, I was only suggested to read volume 1, but I'm going to read all 3 since I have them. So I'm pretty excited about it. I hope I like it because I have all 3. They were actually given to me by my boyfriend last year. He got them for me as a present because he knew it was a series that I really wanted to find, and he happened to see all 3 at the local bookstore, so that was really sweet. So since I have all 3, I'm gonna read all 3. So that is my Pick My TBR books. And I really, really enjoyed all the suggestions that I got. I got some great ones. I liked the kind of the variety in the suggestions, even though I asked that it was limited to my own TBR. I do like to read a lot of genres, and I like that people picked things from different genres. So, I mean, I've got a nonfiction memoir, I've got horror, I've got twisted dark fairy tales, dinosaur erotica, and a sci-fi graphic novel. So I've got a good variety, which I think is going to be great for if I ever feel like I'm hitting a slump, or I'm having just kind of what I can refer to as like a bad depression day, or my depression and or anxiety is hitting me hard. I have a lot of different kinds of options, and I find that sometimes if I'm not feeling like reading, maybe reading something of a different type or genre can help a lot. I'm excited about that. And next, I'm going to talk about my WitchAthon TBR. There are 2 books that were picked for me that fit WitchAthon prompts, so that was really exciting. So as I said before, WitchAthon, as long as I've read 2 of the other books, I'm fine doing WitchAthon because I will be reading books on that TBR that was chosen for me for WitchAthon. So prompt number 1 is: Yule is a time for gift giving for many. Read a book that we were given as a gift. And I was actually given Smoke Gets in Your Eyes as a gift. I got it in like a Secret Santa style book exchange. So that's perfect. It fits that prompt. number 2 is we have descended into a dark part of the year, and you need to read a book with dark subject matter. And this one, I'm going with Once Upon a Curse, the dark fairy tale anthology that is part of my picked TBR, the one that was actually chosen by 2 different people. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Fairy tales, original fairy tales, tend to be pretty dark, and then these are supposed to be darker versions of even like the original tales. So I felt like this could fit this prompt pretty well. The next one is This Is a Season that calls for introspection. Read a book that challenges you to see things from a different perspective. Doubling up on this one, I'm also going to count Smoke Gets in Your Eyes for this one, because it kind of, as it even says on the back, it will make you reconsider how our culture treats the dead. It has a big focus on different ways of looking at death and dying and mortality and how we deal with the dead. So, which I know can be something that's kind of hard for people. I don't know yet if it's going to be something that's hard for me. I have had a lot of loss in my life. I had like a period of time from my freshman year of high school to actually my freshman year of college. I lost 4 people that were close to me, so almost 1 person a year. I have very, intimate and strong memories and feelings regarding death. I was actually in the hospital room when my grandfather, who I was really close to, took his last breath. So I have had very intimate and emotionally charged and very personal experiences with death. When my great aunt passed away, my grandfather was still alive and was there for her as well, but my grandmother pretty much planned her sister's funeral, and I kind of was a supporting figure for her in that. We were very close, and I actually held her hand as she picked her sister's coffin, and I will always have those memories just like vividly in my brain. And so, as I said, death and dying and dealing with the dead and mourning and all that is something that is very deeply personal and has a lot of very vivid and deeply personal memories for me. And my experience has been mostly with dealing the traditional ways of dealing with death. So I am interested to kind of read about more like different cultures' perspectives on dealing with death, more non-traditional burial and burial practices, especially because I really don't want to be pumped full of chemicals and then put in a box that is not going to return me to the earth. That is not something that I want or feel good about. So I just think this is going to be a really good read for me. So I know that was kind of like a dark, depressing little talk about why I'm picking that book, but the next prompt is a little bit more on the happy side. It does say that it is the darkest part of the year, but darkness makes the light easier to see, and you're supposed to read a book that makes you feel optimistic. And I'm actually going to be reading a manga for this. I'm going to read volume 1 of Kashimashi Girl Meets Girl. I love the anime version of this. I haven't read the manga. I have heard from a friend of mine that read it in high school that the manga is a little bit different. Like there's a couple things with the plot that are a little bit different with it, but from the blurb on the back, it seems like the first volume is pretty much the same, but I'm still really excited for it. I think what my friend said is like some of the differences are later in the story, so it probably won't be that different, but the anime made me feel so many feels and was so sweet, and it's one of those things where like the summary of it makes it sound like it's going to be really stupid to a lot of people, but holy shit, this is one of my favorite animes of all time. If you haven't checked it out, check out Kashimashi. Give it at least 3 episodes, because there's a little bit of like silliness in the first couple that goes away, and it gets a little bit more serious and more heartfelt. So it is kind of a little bit, it starts off real heartfelt and serious and sweet. There's a little bit of comedy, and then it gets right back into the feels fest. So yeah, that's my little rant on why you should check out Kashimashi. I'm going to read you the blurb on the back for this volume of the manga. Shunned by the girl of his dreams, Hazumu lost himself in the mountains and was promptly squashed by an alien spaceship. The aliens, feeling bad for what they did, remade Hazumu's body, but they got it wrong. Now Hazumu must learn how to be the girl his parents always wanted him to be, while dealing with the trials and tribulations of being caught in a love triangle between 2 girls, his childhood friend Tomari and Yasuna, and the girl who rejected him. So Hazumu, she and Tomari are childhood friends since they were like little. Yasuna is someone that Hazumu gets to know kind of in high school, which is when this is set, and there's like a secret thing that I'm interested to see if they cover in the manga, but it's like a big deal in the anime. There's like a secret thing with Yasuna, and I won't say what it is, but Hazumu is like special in relation to this strange condition that she has. So she does actually develop feelings, but is like afraid of things going wrong. And so that's why there ends up being a love triangle after Hazumu physically becomes a girl. I'm really excited because, like I said, this series is like just really heartwarming and sweet, and the emotions are really just like touching and bittersweet at times. And as I said, the first couple episodes of the anime were a lot more lighthearted and fun, so I'm hoping that this is going to be a lighthearted, fun, optimistic read. And finally, our year is ending. I need to read a book that has been backlisted on my TBR for way too long. And for this, I'm going to read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Couple reasons. It's a book that I have wanted to read for a long time. And it's actually kind of perfect because it's one of the picks for the Galactic Grimoire Book Club. And I have already read the other pick. Well, I've read volume 1. They picked Bitch Planet and Frankenstein, and I've read volume 1 of Bitch Planet. So I have at least read part of that selection. And so I'm like, I want to read the other one, and it is a book that I own that's relatively short and is something that I want to read for a book club, so it works out perfectly. And now we are to the SmutAthon TBR. If you are not really into erotica or not interested in hearing the SmutAthon TBR, I won't be offended if you want to go ahead and just exit. But before you do, go ahead and if you've liked this so far, click that like button, click subscribe to keep up with the rest of my content. And also if you want to comment below if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned so far about my TBR. And if you want to comment below your thoughts on anything that I've already said I add into my TBR, or if you're participating in the Yule version of WitchAthon, what you're planning to read, or just if you've already read any of these books, kind of what your thoughts are without getting too spoilery, because please don't spoil things for me. As well, I just want to let people know that I had a really great time having people pick my TBR. So I've actually decided that I'm going to continue to do that in 2019. Not like a whole 5 books. I'm going to commit to reading 1 to 2 books every month 2019 that were picked off of my own TBR list by others. I made like a Google form survey thing that I'm gonna include in the description box. You can fill it out multiple times. I don't care if you want to just like spam me with tons of suggestions, or if you just want to be a little bit more curated. It's not limited to being only taken once, but yeah, it'll allow me to kind of keep it all in one place. And like I said, every month I'll pick 1 or 2 depending on how many suggestions I have. If I have more suggestions, I'll pick 2, but if I don't get as many, I'll probably only pick 1. And I'll kind of take into consideration how many times something has been chosen. Like if there is a book that's been chosen like multiple times, I'll probably bump it up higher in priority, as well as if it's something that I've had on my TBR for a really long time, I'll probably bump it up. But yeah, look in the description box for that. And now we get to the SmutAthon TBR, and I will go ahead and warn you, I like dark erotica, so I went dark with this. Yeah. So, here we go. This one is Enemies to Lovers. That's the one that I was saying I could have used taken for T-Rex, because she's like a huntress that hates dinosaurs, and then it's like a dinosaur. But I, just based on like the shortness of the book and like the reviews that I've seen, I don't think they actually like become lovers. Plus, it's only 17 pages. And also, thirdly, there was another book that I found that I want to read for this readathon that fits it. It's The Incubus Prey by Lola DeLaury. I'm gonna go ahead and read you the synopsis for it. So, 2 men full of prejudice and a woman who might just help them overcome it. A dangerous blood pact, sinful temptations, and a steamy affair that threaten to change the 3 of them forever. Alden is a noble young knight, once a member of the Holy Order, sworn to celibacy. Now he roams the land to fight monsters and demons, unsure of his place in the world, but certain of his passion for justice. Kagan, I think is how you say that, or Kagan, is an incubus with a burning hatred for the Holy Order and a dark past. As a demon of lust, he lives life lavishly, enjoying himself fully without ever letting anyone close enough to warm his heart. Bringing them together is Claire, a simple young peasant on the run from past mistakes, who just happens to be the most gorgeous woman they have ever laid eyes on. They both want her, and neither is willing to let the other beat them as they struggle to conquer her, body and soul. What none of them expect, however, is to find themselves rapidly becoming entangled in a trio that is as liberating and eye-opening as it is steamy. Before long, they realize they might want one another as much as they want her, but will they be able to overcome their past demons before they bring them to ruin? So, enemies to lovers, these 2 dudes obviously sound like enemies, but it kind of sounds like through their pursuit of this girl, they end up kind of also falling for each other and end up in a just happy little triage. So I'm excited for it. Haven't read any like paranormal romance or erotica in a hot minute, so I think this is going to be a fun read. Is Friends with Benefits, and for that one I'm going to read Watching Sin by Lori King. It is the first in a series, and the synopsis for that one is: after 15 years as a bland housewife, Alana is ready to shake up her life by fulfilling her darkest fantasy. She wants to be watched. Her exhibitionist streak is ready to break free, and she knows exactly whom she wants for her voyeur. Doug would give his wife Alana the moon if she asked, so he's more than willing to participate in a public threesome at a fetish party if it makes her kinky wishes come true. His business partner and best friend Killian is the wild card in their plan. A businessman first and a train dominant second, Killian never gets tied down to one submissive. He's a lover with commitment issues, but he doesn't hesitate to help fulfill Doug and Alana's fantasy. Once the fantasy is set in motion, the 3 players must decide if watching sin is enough. So, pick this Friends with Benefits because the 2 guys are friends beforehand. I don't know based on that description or that kind of synopsis if he's friends with Alana as well. But definitely the two guys are friends, but it sounds like they kind of, obviously there's some benefits. They're doing dirty, sexy stuff in the club, so they might have actually had some friends with benefits type stuff going on before. I don't know, I'm gonna find out. But because they are friends beforehand and then they start engaging in the sexy times, I'm saying that it counts for friends with benefits. The next one, I'm using another first in a series. The trope for / prompt for this one is fake relationships. This one I'm going with Birching His Bride by Golden Angel. The fake relationship I'm doing for this is it's an arranged marriage, which I believe from the announcement video says counts. Just anything that isn't like a true we want to be together relationship. It is an arranged marriage. I'll read you the synopsis for Birching His Bride because it is honestly like a novel within itself. But it is a historical romance. It does involve an arranged marriage. I believe there is a lot of caning and spanking in it, which is always a good time. And yeah, it just seemed like something that I would enjoy. It fits the prompt, and it's something that I own, so that's what I'm going with. The next prompt I've had a lot of trouble with. I kind of scoured my shelves and was really trying to find something that I felt like fit this, which is, it's slow burn. Slow burn is the trope / prompt for this. I don't feel like I read a lot of like slow burn romance / smut / erotica. So I didn't feel like I had a lot on my shelves. And B, it's one of those things where I almost feel like you can't know something is slow burn unless somebody who has read it tells you, or you read it yourself and you find out. But based on the synopsis, I found one that sounds like it's a slow burn and sounds like something I'll really enjoy. Double win. And that book is Daddy's Baby Girl by M.L. Doss. I'll go ahead and read you the description to kind of give you an idea why I figured it is a slow burn. Running away from her sordid past, a life of drugs and abuse, Savannah tries blending into the city life thousands of miles away from home. Hiding from skeletons in her closet, she decides to embrace the demons in her soul, which lands her in the lap of her first dom. Can Dominic and Savannah overcome these skeletons, or will her past keep her separated from the only good man she has ever had in her life, no matter how dark her future might be? This is a full-length novel that contains some abuse and neglect. Along with the bad comes the good, the overcoming of our past, not letting that define who we are or dictate our lives now, moving on to bigger and better places, all while finding our Prince Charming. So the description kind of leads me to believe that there's like a slow buildup of trust and working through issues. It doesn't sound like it's just going to be like they start playing around and she like is instantly over all of her trauma and it's just sexy times and loves all the way. It does sound like there is a work through of things in her past, that there is a building of trust, and that it is a slowly built relationship that really works through all the things that need to be worked through. I could be totally wrong. If you've read this book and you know that I'm wrong, comment down below please and tell me so that I can try to pick something else. I had one other book, I don't remember what it is off the top of my head right now, that I was considering that I thought might be a slow burn. And also I guess I'll just go ahead and ask, I tend to like really kinky or really dark, fucked up erotica. Do you guys know of any books kind of fitting in that category that you would consider a slow burn? Comment them down below, because I discovered through looking for stuff in this prompt that I don't really think I have much slow burn on my shelves, and it does sound like something that I would enjoy reaping the benefits of and really getting to see characters' relationships develop. So, yeah, you want to suggest those recommendations, pop them down below in the comments, please. So the next one is Forbidden, and for that I'm going with Priest by Sierra Simone. This one, kind of obvious why it's forbidden. It's a priest who's supposed to be celibate, and this other chick. So there's many rules. A priest can't break, a priest cannot marry, a priest cannot abandon his flock, a priest cannot forsake his God. I've always been good at following rules until she came. My name is Tyler Anson Bell. I'm 29 years old. 6 months ago, I broke my vow of celibacy on the altar of my own church, and God help me, I would do it again. I am a priest, and this is my confession. So, I'm guessing you can tell by the synopsis why this fits into forbidden. It sounds deliciously sacrilegious, and I'm all for it. Last one is Different Worlds, and this was one that could be kind of interpreted as a couple different things. So I chose to go with a vampire and a human. The book that I am picking for that is Drain Me Dry by Leigh Wilder. Like I said, it fits because it is a vampire and a human. If you want to know, the description for this is 19-year-old Jamie has had it with living. He has a terrible job, no friends, and his home life is unbearable. He wants to end it all, but is too frightened to slit his own wrists. Instead, he goes to the Victorian, a seedy underground blood den for vampires and their groupies, where he hopes to find an angel of death to end it all for him. Instead, he finds Damien, who has much sexier things on his mind than death. Will Jamie succeed in his plan of suicide by vampire, or will he get an unexpected happily ever after? So it's a male paranormal erotica, got some BDSM elements. Apparently it does have some dubious consent. It has blood play, which is really hard to find in novels, actually. And I'm all about it. I know that's totally not a lot of people's jam, but I'm into it. And yeah, so I'm excited for it. It fits the prompt. That is all my planned reads for the month of December. Like I said, those 5 that were chosen for me by you are my priority. I will not do SmutAthon if I don't have at least 2 finished. I will try to make those 2 the ones I am not reading for WitchAthon, because that just makes sense and is going to help me achieve my goals. So I probably won't get to all of these. I'm going to try my darndest, but I did want to go ahead and share what my plans are if I am able to complete everything in all these readathons and stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said before, I feel like I've got a lot of variety with the stuff you guys picked for me, and then with the WitchAthon, there's some variety in there, and then just a lot of really dirty smut to finish out the year, so that's exciting. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I mentioned before, I do have a Google form in my description box for you to be able to suggest picks for me for 2019. You guys did such a good job with this full December TBR. Freaking great taste, lots of variety, so I'm excited to have people pick things for me in 2019. It's gonna be a great way for me to whittle down my own TBR, and also I'm super indecisive, so I think it's really neat to be like, just pick something for me. Plus, me reading at least 1 or 2 books that were picked for me means that I'm reading and talking about stuff on my channel that you want to see, which is something I definitely want to do. So it's just a win-win all around. Comment down below if you've read any of the books that I've talked about. and kind of what you thought of them, or if you're planning on participating in any of these readathons, what you're planning to read, or if any of the books that I've mentioned sound exciting to you. Comment down below. Just comment. I really love when people comment, and I love responding because I joined BookTube to talk with people about books, and so I love seeing and responding to comments down there. I hope you are having a great evening or day whenever you're watching this. Good night, bookworms.